Welcome to a new episode of the Life Science Get Together podcast. Today with Karel Kubias. Welcome to the show, Karel.
Thank you very much, Christian, and thank you very much for this invitation.
You're welcome. Karel, you are in Prague. How is life in Prague these days?
These days, quite critical because of the corona, very challenging, but all of us, we hope that we will overcome it soon.
Yeah, that's true. And I think one important part to overcome such a crisis is the pharmaceutical industry. And if I remember it right, you have a long history and a lot of experience in this industry. Can you tell us a little bit more about your expertise?
You mean expertise in the pharma industry?
Yeah.
From my background, I am chemist. Yeah, that means it was quite a short way to the chemical pharmaceutical company Merck, where I spent the majority of my working life, almost 25 years. And I went through different managerial positions. And in the 10 last years at Merck, it was between 2006 to 2015, I was managing director of the Czech subsidiary of Merck in Prague, and then I continued in the regional responsibility for Eastern Europe, Middle East, and Africa in the life science division of Merck. Yeah, but of course, I was, as a managing director, I was responsible for the pharma business as well.
Yeah. So as a chemist, you really understand the entire industry and the science behind the products from the early stages of development up to the market entry and also how to bring therapies to the patients. After your roles at Merck, you switched from the end of the value chain, the patient perspective, back to the more scientific part. What are you doing currently?
Currently, I'm working for the INI organization. Maybe we will talk more in details about that later, which is a tech transfer organization. Yeah, and with the knowledge, let's say, of the chemistry, of a little bit of the science, and then broad knowledge of the industry, chemical industry, multinational companies, local in the local perspective as well as international perspective, we are able to connect both worlds, the scientific world and the industry. And this is the role of the tech transfer, to be like a bridge between the science, between the discoveries, and between the industry. And this is now our role.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's stay a little bit with the current challenges. I mean, everybody is, I think, aware of the pandemic that's going on. It's caused by a novel virus that originated in Chinese scientists sequenced it first, let's put it that way. And the pharmaceutical industry is working day and night to find solutions on the therapeutic sides, on the vaccine side, and also on the diagnostic side. So let's look a little bit about on the value chain. You mentioned tech transfer. What exactly is tech transfer doing in Prague or in general?
Or in general, maybe I would spend some words on the expression tech transfer, because I think it's important to understand what is the role of such organizations, and you can find different definitions on internet, but I can explain it to you how I feel it. You can imagine tech transfer like a bridge over the valley. On one side of the valley, you have the discovery, the innovative idea. On the other side of the valley, there is the industry, market, consumers, customers. And the valley in between is full of challenges, norms, regulations, laws, frustration, and a lot of danger waiting for the scientists. And the tech transfer organization is able, like the overbridge these challenges and help the project teams to help the innovative ideas to come to the industry, to be marketed and finally sold as a product.
Mm-hmm. What challenges do you see? I mean, when I think on, let's say, how should I put it? When I think about scientists, to me, they look very creative. So their job is to be innovative, to find something new, and to think in ways that nobody else did before. So the problem I see with tech transfer, when I look on the industrial side, I see the industry as very focused and executing. So the industry focuses on one topic, on one goal, and executes. What challenges do you see to overcome between these two worlds?
In the process, of let's say the finding a new discovery, do new innovation on the one side of the valley, you can come to certain result. You have a brilliant idea, innovative idea, but now is the problem how you can market your organization, how you can make it interesting for the industry. And of course, there are few aspects which you should fulfill as a project holder in order to make this project interesting for the industry. First of all, it should be like innovative idea, very innovative discovery. The second point is that the transferability from the original laboratory should be sure or secure, because there is quite high rate of failure of the project. Because of that, I think even 70% of projects fail because they are not transferable from one laboratory to another one. We have currently in our pipeline one project from Germany. This is a brilliant idea of new synthesis of peptides in water solutions. You don't use the organic solvents, which could be really very welcomed in the future. It works, this synthesis works in the laboratory of this project team. And we tried to transfer it to IOCB in Prague or to other company in Prague as well to make this synthesis. And currently there are some challenges that so far we are not fully 100% sure that this will be possible. And in this case, if there is a failure, it doesn't make sense to invest into such project. That means there is really need for transferability of this project. There should be like a demonstration of the proof of concept, because the idea is very good in the beginning. It could theoretically it could work, but you need to have something tangible in the hand to show it to the potential investors. Because the investors, they have interest for such project and they are prepared to invest in the case that this is really a brilliant idea, new idea, this is innovative idea, and it works. And there is a high probability that you can make from this idea finally a product and go to the market.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the proof of concept, at least in an animal trial, is key to success when it comes to talk to investors. I would call it's the minimum viable product. So when I listen to you, I mean, there are a lot of challenges to overcome on the project level. Before we even consider of founding a company. And you said about 90% or 70% of these projects failed because the results are not transferable. and or maybe the project is not innovative enough. What is the next step then? So let's assume we have figured out that the project works, is transferable, and we are confident that we can show a proof of concept in animal. What are the next steps in the value chain that you would recommend?
The next step in our case, if we have, let's say, the project in our portfolio, and we first, in the first line, we evaluate the project. If this is really, if it works, if there is a proof of concept, we discuss it with the industry even, if the project is meaningful. And then if we decide we want to support such a project, then either we are looking for the license partner for this project, or thanks our contacts in the industry, we are looking for partners in pharma industry or life science industry for potential co-development, or even in the future for co-investment. And let's say the final stage of such support of the project is finding the so-called exit partner. That means company which is willing to take this idea, this project, and make a product, final product, and marketize it.
Ideally, let's stay a little bit earlier in the value chain. You mentioned that once you have found a project and you think it's fit to be put into a company, and also you find a team, there are two approaches. So on one hand, you talk to investors, and on the other hand, you talk to industrial partners, also known as the pharmaceutical industry. And this is a very interesting discussion I very often have with tech transfer officers and offices. I myself have a background in running life science companies who are in preclinical and clinical stage. And from my perspective and from my experience, what I saw over the last 14 years, I always got the impression, which I did not do any statistics about it, so it's pure impression, that the sweet spot of the pharmaceutical industry is picking up companies that have data packages when we look at the therapeutic side for clinical phase 2. And when I talk to tech transfer officers who work very early, they very often say, yeah, we approach pharma right away. And I don't really see the match in my mind. So I say, my experience says proof of concept in humans, and tech transfer officers who also see other models. In your opinion and with your experience, what models do exist on the market currently when we want to talk with pharma? Is it just a late stage game that they're on the exit side, or are there more and more models, collaboration models coming up for the earlier stages of development?
I would say that they are like two points in the development of the project when you talk to the pharma company or to the industry. It could be in the early stage of the development of the project, when you talk to the industry and ask them for support with the evaluation of the project. It means that the discovery should be evaluated if it really makes sense for the industry and for the market, if the idea is meaningful, if it really makes sense to continue, let's say, in the development of the project. And then, of course, pharma industry is very strong in the phases like preclinical, clinical phase, production. These are the core competencies of the pharma industry. It means it makes sense after certain development of the project, if we are in the advanced stage, then to talk to pharma industry once again and ask them for the cooperation, co-development, co-investment, even if it makes sense for the company, and the company maybe could accept this project as a future line.
That's interesting, and I think these are important points that you are saying. So first, and I hear that very often, it makes sense to approach the pharma industry very early, but more with the intention of market research.
Yes.
So to find out whether a novel technology really addresses a problem that the pharma experts see on the market, or if we're just somewhere where we don't really find a customer at the end of the day. And secondly, what I got from what you're saying, that we can also see the pharma industry as a potential collaboration partner in a way that it can provide services against a fee. So as a service partner, production, preclinical models. And I think the third part that we see in the pharma industry when we are later in development that you mentioned is that they can become an exit partner and basically sign a contract with the well-known billions on the contract. The question that pops up in my mind when I just look at these three models is, in your opinion, why is the pharma industry not picking up projects early on if they can do everything themselves? Why do they more focus on the later stages of the value chain and leave the earlier stages to someone else?
I would say somehow it's linked to costs and to risks. Because there are many research areas in the discovery of new medicine and so on. And even if a specific pharma company focuses on few areas, even with early stage projects, there is a high probability of failure. That it means pharma industry in this way lowers the failure risk. And leave it with academic area and research institutes. Then because to be maybe more concrete, it's much more effective for the pharma industry to manage 10 projects in advanced stage than 100 in early stage. It could be really very costly because of the management of this project and of course because of the failure rate. The second reason why I think it's a really good split between the research, academia and pharma, this process, is let's say the lack of surprising innovation in pharma. That means thinking out of the box, free thinking. This is exactly what is only in academia area possible, or mostly in academia possible. It means these are for me the main two reasons: the lower the risk and the lack of high innovation potential in the pharma.
I agree to that, and I have a story in my mind. This adds to what you mentioned, reducing complexity. When I finished my university degree in Graz, it was in economy. I started working for a listed company, and it was a multi-billion-dollar business. So on a university level and in the commercial school before, we learned to calculate with a lot of zeros after the comma position. So the first reports I did in this multinational company, I calculated with a lot of numbers after the comma. And my boss, she was one of the most successful women in merger acquisition in Austria these days, laughed and said, "Christian, you can forget that. It's we're a multi-billion-dollar business. You start thinking in millions." To make the right decisions. And I completely agree with that, because when I what you said, complexity. When I look at the early stages of the development, I mean, the budget positions we need are a few thousand or a few €100,000. So when I look at Pfizer, for example, or Roche with their multi-billion-dollar budgets, this would be teeny-weeny positions, and they would not really appear in any budget. So when I think in the poor scientists, the second thing is attention. when I think to the poor scientists that they do important work that nobody sees and they get zero attention, I think they would not be very happy in a pharmaceutical company. But when I look at the funding space, for example, a fund who has 20 to 30 million euros to invest, and they have to allocate a budget of 300,000 or 400,000 euros, they really focus their attention on the team and help them and support them to forward.
Yeah.
I think this is a reason why pharma stays out of the game. But there still is this you said valley of death between science and and a successful exit. How do you handle spin-outs in Prague? What's your experience, and what are the advantages of spinning something out of the university level?
Yeah, of course, for spin-off, there is the advantage for the organization and the disadvantage as well at the same time. Because what we can see currently, more and more spin-offs are currently creating in Prague. And spin-off, it means carve out a part of organization and create a new legal entity, separate organization, which has disadvantage for the scientists in that way that they simply lose in this way the support of the academia area and the financing from the academia part. Very often there is the disadvantage as well in that way that these people are not experienced in business. They don't have so strong entrepreneurial thinking. And very often they are afraid to create spin-off. In that way, we try to support these organizations with our, let's say, business knowledge, or we are trying to find a person from the business who could support this team in order to create spin-off. The advantage of the spin-off is that there is simply the separate legal entity with the possibility to use the private money. That means you can take the money from the investors, which was not so possible in the academia area. And of course, the investors, they invest into separate legal entities, not into academia. That means this is on one side advantage, on the other side disadvantage for spin-offs.
I just try to figure. I think I never saw an investor investing in academia.
No,
except philanthropy. I just tried to find anything, and it's really true. If you want to have money for development, you need to put the patents and the lead scientists into a new company. But I think you mentioned it a little bit. The key challenge is that it's not enough to be a scientist when somebody wants to run a company. We need additional skills. What are, in your opinion, the missing skills that we need to add to the science that we can really talk about running a company?
I think that people, they are scientists and they have a plan to create a spin-off in the future. They should really think about the markets, about business plan, how to realize the final product from their discovery, from their innovative idea. That means there definitely should be like a business feeling. They can either learn it somehow, or they can ask a mentor from outside, from the maybe business area, to support them in this way. That means the feeling for the business should be there definitely, and entrepreneur feeling I don't know if you can learn it. It should be somehow born in you. But into certain grade, you can definitely get or learn these skills.
Mm-hmm. I'm a huge fan of building teams. I think a company is not a one-man show. So when I see scientists who say they want everything for themselves, the first thing I ask them is, are you really sure that the company is the right thing? Because I believe it's necessary to have two different skill sets, different people who learn that, because it makes a difference. Mm-hmm. What help do you provide with I&I to find the right people in Europe when a scientist approaches you?
Mm-hmm. You mean in the supporting these project teams?
Yeah, project teams are structuring so mm-hmm. It's a very broad question. So structuring business plans, finding mm-hmm. the right people. What kind of let's call it services can a scientist expect when he starts talking with you in your role mm-hmm. as a director of strategic alliances at I&I?
Mm-hmm. I think I&I is quite specific in this way, because we cover really very complex services, and it starts with the people, of course, because our CEO Jaromír Zahradka is on one side has a PhD in chemistry, mm-hmm. on the other side he graduated from the University of Economics and Business in Prague. That means he covers both business and science. 3 other colleagues, they have PhD mm-hmm. In chemistry, biochemistry, immunology, with quite close link to the industry. Mm-hmm. And this is exactly the expertise and service we can provide to these startups or project teams. Mm-hmm. It means we are able to support them in creating a business plan. We are in the position to make connection to the industry, and link the project team with, let's say, R&D in pharma company. And this is, let's say, for the beginning. And then, of course, if there is the further development of the project, we are in contact with different funds. We even are in the position to invest, because we have source of the money in IOCB in Prague. And this is the next component of our support. That means we are able to support the business side, scientific side, and the investment side as well.
Okay, that's great. May I ask what the business model then is? Are you more on the investment side and provide the services on top, or are these two different parts of your of the I&I business, so that you charge separately? To say, for example, writing a business plan, is it a service that is connected to the incubation investment side, or is it something that people have to charge for?
Normally, let's say if we invest into the company, then this is the part of our service. Mm-hmm. There could be different models. We could have, let's say, a small equity in the company, mm-hmm. Like a payment for our service. And our approach is really very, very individual. Mm-hmm. Because each product is very individual.
That's true.
With different teams, different people in the teams, with different skills. And I would say that, again, that this is the advantage of I&I Prague, that we have this flexibility. Mm-hmm. And I think we have enough experience from the business, from the science, to provide the service to such teams. Of course, we have lawyer in the team as well. And we provide if we are talking about contracts with the companies, we can support the teams with this expertise as well.
So let's assume I know a scientist. So when I tell a scientist, okay, talk with I&I, they give you the necessary support. It means scientists can approach you, you evaluate the project and find out whether you can do something for the scientist or if it's not in your area of expertise.
Yeah.
And then you start working with the scientists, but don't charge service fees or something. So your model is more either you invest as a fund, then it's part of the investment, or if the scientist finds other investors somewhere in the world and I is not investing, so it's more against a small percentage of equity
could
that
be.
you get something.
Yeah.
So this
it's
is
very,
the form.
It's really very, very individual, project by project.
Yeah. How did the ecosystem, I mean, I is located in Prague. And it's doing a great job. And when I think about the people I know in America, one thing they always point out is that Europe is so complex. So let's try to reduce a little bit complexity and shine a little bit of light on the ecosystem in Prague. How did it evolve in life science?
Maybe before I start to talk about INI, IOCB, IOCB Tech, about this triangle, let me talk a little bit about the history of the development. Because if I look back 20 years ago, let's say in the new millennium, there were discussions in our country how to develop the science in Czech Republic further. And as a result of these discussions, in early 2000, were established new innovation centers in the country, by using the European money. It means Czech Republic entered the EU 2004. It means around this time, innovation centers were established, like BioCEF near to Prague, or LE Beamlines. This is the Laser Research Center, or regional research centers. 10 years later, around 2010, and important is to add that these innovation centers were established with the target to attract the scientists in foreign countries to come to Czech and to work here in this area. And I would say that around 2010, there was already enough results in innovation, in research, and suddenly there was clear that there is a lack of the engine which could help to transfer these innovative ideas to the industry. And I would say that in this time, the tech transfer organizations were established. One of the first was the IOCB Tech, who was established by Professor Martin Fusek, who on one side is a scientist, but on the other side, he has a long history in the business. And here you have both components: business, one side of the valley, and science, the other side of the valley. And I think also the knowledge in between.
And I think also the expertise, he also got expertise in the United States, if I remember it right. So
yes,
you also have a lot of, I think at IOCB and IOCB Tech, you also have a lot of people who worked in the United States.
Yes. Because there is a close link between IOCB as a research institute and US universities and, for example, the pharmaceutical company KGaA.
Yeah, this was interesting. I the first time I met representatives of IOCB and IOCB Tech was back, I think, in 2017 in Japan. And so we were talking along, and then they said, we did something for Gilead. And I thought first it was an organization in the United States. So I did a little bit of research after this first talk, and it was very interesting to find out. I mean, I knew Gilead. Gilead is a well-known name, especially for people in the industry who also invest on the stock market. It must not be really scientists. Gilead is one of the, I think, best pharma companies that evolved since the early 90s. And what I learned then from 2017 on, that basically the blockbuster pipeline of Gilead, to put it very bluntly, originated in Prague.
Yes.
So how did that happen?
Because It happened in 70s, 80s of last century in the team of Professor Holly, who discovered new promising molecules for HIV treatment. Yeah, and in cooperation with Gilead, then this idea, this discovery was put into the final product, which was sold then by Gilead. And because this business was and has been very successful, IOCB gets very nice royalties till today. It's more than $100 million annually. And this is really very nice financing of the research institute, but consequently financing of IOCB Tech and INI as well. Because the IOCB Tech, it was established 2010 as a service organization for IOCB, financed from these royalties by IOCB, and the role of IOCB Tech was, let's say, the tech transfer of discoveries from IOCB to the industry. And it's based mainly on selling the licenses.
That's a great point. Let's stay a little bit on the tech transfer level so that we shine a little bit more light on that and what you're doing for the scientists. When I work as a business angel or as an executive, I very often talk also with scientists from all over Europe. It's quite funny, yeah. So recently I was talking with someone from the United Kingdom, and this person asked me, where can I find support? So I pointed out, look, we have the ISCT Summer School in Tyrol. You can go to Austria. We have INITS and AWS and IST Cube on the west, on the side of Austria. We have INI in Prague. And then this person said, yeah, but what should I do there? I mean, when I move to Austria, when I move to Prague, I have to live there forever and ever. And then there is no pharmaceutical industry. And how should I market my product anyways? So how do you see that in Europe? Is it really necessary to move to Prague and to stick to Prague for the next 40 years of the scientist's life with no chance of spinning out the idea to an American company?
Definitely not. Definitely not. Because I think that science, discoveries, innovations are international. They are not purely Czech or Austrian or German. It means that, of course, we support projects. The majority of the projects we support are from Czech Republic, but our responsibility for the discoveries, for innovation, for supporting these projects is in mainly Central Europe. Of course, we have projects outside the scope in Israel, for example, as well. It means that we are really not limited directly to the location, Czech Republic, but we support with our investment companies in other countries as well. Currently, there is, because we are in contact with, for example, Life Science Incubator in Dresden, in Germany. We are in contact with IST Cube in Vienna, with AWS in Vienna, with Thatcher, which is a technical agency for supporting the innovations in Czech Republic, very cool, similar to AWS in Vienna. We are in contact with these agencies, organizations, and of course, it's possible if you have one project, for example, in Slovakia, you can make a subsidiary or move your project to Austria, and you can get additional financing from the Austrian government. That means it's really very international. You are not bound to stay forever in one location. Definitely not.
Yeah, I can absolutely agree to that. I think it's necessary to start somewhere where where two things happen. Either it's the ecosystem is very compelling. So, for example, when I think of Prague, I always have IOCB in mind, with, in my
Mhm.
opinion, first-in-class chemistry. I
Yes,
think at
absolutely.
IOC, I think we have 700 chemists working at the IOCB or
Mhm.
something around that. It's a huge team. The second thing is just where you like living. But when you look at the reality, then later on, I always tell scientists you need to prepare to move anyways, because
Mhm.
uh, when the scientist really has a great project that has potential to become a product that serves an unmet need on the market, we can probably find another 10, 20 to 30 million euros of funding in Europe.
Yes, yeah.
But the later stages of development, usually funding sources are very scarce in Europe, and there are more sources in the United States. How do you see the funding value chain in our industry?
Mhm. Uh, the funding is on the one side
Mhm,
coming from, let's say, the governments. Yeah,
mhm,
because in Austria you have AWS. In Czech Republic we have Thatcher. In Germany there is a, HTGF fund
mhm, mhm,
where the projects in the country could be financed. Yeah. On the other side, you have private investors like I&I, because thanks the realities what IOCB gets from Gilead, we have the possibility to invest into one project, let's say 200 up to half a million
mhm,
euros in one run. Yeah,
mhm,
and of course we are looking for other partners, other co-investors. Yeah, into a promising project. Yeah, it means that normally you have the support. If you are in Czech Republic, you have support from Thatcher, like governmental money, you can get that. If you are in Austria with the project, you can get governmental money from AWS. In Germany, other fund. Yeah?
mhm,
And then additionally, you can have the private money, and we are in the position to talk to other investors and attract the project to them. Yeah?
mhm,
There is another possibility where we are currently thinking about and working on that, to increase our ticket size, yeah, for the investment uh, up to 2 million, let's say, euros per run. In the case that we are successful in the discussion in the European Investment Fund.
mhm.
Yeah, this is, let's say, the
This would be
next
great.
level. This is the next level of the approach of I&I, how to increase the investment possibilities into promising projects. Yeah, because we see it. Yeah,
Mhm,
after 3 years on the market, we see how big the potential is.
mhm,
Yeah, and really currently the ticket, let's say 200,000 euros, uh, is a little bit small part of the potential we see in the projects. Yeah,
mhm,
because in the past 3 years, we were able to evaluate around 100 projects.
mhm,
Yeah, and in the beginning, we were looking for the projects on the market, but currently, the project teams, project holders are contacting us, yeah, and asking for support. And we have really increasing number of good projects,
mhm.
promising projects. And this is like hand in hand with our intention really to increase the possibility to invest into the science, into the new projects.
It's good news to hear how the ecosystem in Europe evolves and develops.
Mhm.
I started in life science 15 years ago and had the great chance to start directly with a spin out from Novartis, which
Mhm.
was funded directly with Series A funding of 40 million euros. And this was very unique, and I think it's still very unique 15 years later. Um, when I started with the collapse of the stock market, I started working more and more with early stage programs, with scientists, with spinouts. And the reality in 2008-9 was that there were not many funds around and people around who were prepared to invest in the inception of the company. So the public funding was always great. But the gap was very huge between the public funding side, the spin-out side, and the investment side, because VC funds usually that I met start investing when the round size is a minimum of 3 to 5 million euros. So especially in the early stages, we don't need as much money. There's still high risk. So we need a few hundred thousands to do some trials to de-risk the project.
Yes,
and this is not the sweet spot of the VCs. And the problem always was business angels can do only so much, so few projects, and we had really these professional organizations missing. And what I hear from you, this is absolutely the sweet spot of I&I. So you like also to help scientists before in the pre-seed stage and in the seed stage.
Yeah.
Did I get it right?
Yes. Yeah, we are really very much interested in the early stage of the project. Yeah, that means that we have really that we get the very beginning of the project. We support the scientists, of course, and then we can somehow accompany them in the further development of the project. Yeah, and it could take, let's say, 5 years. Yeah, till, let's say, the exit of the project to industry, to a pharmaceutical company, for example. Yeah, that means we really are in the position with our expertise, with our complexity, to focus on this broad spectrum of the development of the project.
What do you prefer? I mean, you said the exit. I think there are always two scenarios, and it's something that interests me. I saw two models. So there is this one trick pony. It's one company, one project, and we find an exit. And then I have the second model, which is a company that starts building a pipeline, and which later on is not exited in a traditional way, that it's sold to the pharma industry. It rather finds licensing partners for single projects and start building a pipeline. What is your recommendation? What's the better way? When is the one-trick pony model suitable? And when is the company formation model more suitable? Well, what's your personal opinion on that?
In our pipeline with the projects we currently have, so far we have, let's say, equities in seven companies. Yeah, they are in, let's say, in the early stage, not early stage of the development, but of early stage of the company development, and they are so far independent. But some of them were even contacted by pharma company that later they are interested to be like an exit partner. Yeah, this is currently our experience with the project. Yeah, how the spin-off or the separate legal entity could be successful in the future. Yeah, this is the current experience we have.
Okay, great. Let's talk a little bit about tech transfer and young scientists. I had last week an interesting talk with scientists from Oxford. They are PhD students, and it reminded me of my days in the 90s when I was on the university. The basic training was finish your university degree, at least a master, find a job, gain some experience in an industry you like. And when you hit your 50s or 60s, then you can found a company to make some money for your retirement. You know the industry, you solve the problem. And in this talk with this young scientist from Oxford, I got the feeling that they have a different mindset. like I had back in the 90s. They want to found companies right away with their PhD thesis.
Yeah.
What's your advice and recommendation to such young scientists, what they should do?
Yeah, first of all, really congratulations. Yeah, because if you are scientist and at the same time you have like a feeling for the business and you want to create your own company, maybe spin-off or create based on your thesis a company, this is really something really welcomed, yeah, because more and more spin-offs will be created in the future. But if you are as a scientist in the very beginning, maybe I would come back to the quality of the project. Yeah, in which case the project could be successful. Simply, you should be sure that your idea is really very innovative. This is the first one. You should be sure that you find a market for your product. Yeah, if from this idea you are able to produce or to prepare a product, you need to check the transferability. Yeah, if this is linked only to your laboratory or you could be transferred to other laboratory, that means you can sell, for example, license. Yeah, prepare the proof of concept, and of course make a market evaluation, potential of the market, prepare a business plan. That means your strategy, how the company should be developed within the next 5 years. What is your vision? What is your target for the company? Yeah, this would be like key points the scientist should be aware before starting a company. Yeah, from my perspective, from my experience.
That's great. I think I can absolutely agree to that. That these are the first points. And the next point then could be to directly approach you in Prague with I&I guess. This would
absolutely. Yeah, because we are really happy to support science, to support scientists and new projects, because in some aspects we feel it like our responsibility. Yeah, somehow giving back to the society as well. Yeah, with support the science. Yeah, the scientists with promising projects, they of course could contact us in Prague. I think you have the contact and links.
I will provide the links in the description to the to the podcast.
Yeah, and really we would be happy, yeah, to talk to new people with interest of creating a company, and we can talk to them and support them if really the idea is innovative and we see sense for our focused area. It means drug discovery, diagnostics, medical devices. Yeah, this is our focus.
You're also working in medical devices?
Yes, yes, okay. but I would say that the majority is like drug discovery and diagnostics.
Okay. I have one question. Patents. So when it comes to science, very often there is the situation that once the idea is out on the market, it's difficult to patent something. How important to you is having an idea patented before starting talking with I&I?
Yeah, this is always one of the points we evaluate. Yeah, if there is a new project, we are always looking for patents. Yeah, if the idea is protected or not. And of course, this is a big advantage if there is already a patent on that innovation, on that discovery.
So to sum it up, at the end of the talk, I would say when a scientist has an idea, the first thing to evaluate is whether the scientist wants to stay on the university level or wants to become an entrepreneur.
Exactly.
So if it really feels the entrepreneurial spirit, because it's a different world. It's a different world than academia.
Absolutely.
The second thing necessary is to prove novelty, to have also the idea patented, which is, I think, mandatory. It's not something it's really necessary. And then would be the right time to start picking up the phone and starting calling you and the team at INI to see if you can do something together.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we are open for all new projects and really very happy to support new scientists and innovative ideas.
Karel, I know that you have also other meetings after our session. Thank you very much for your time and for your interesting and amazing insights, and all the best to you and the I&I team.
Thank you very much, Christian, and see you next time.
See you next time. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. Please share the podcast and make sure you've subscribed. Have a great day.